most people expected BLG and G2 to make it out of the play-ins, but I think the way that it happened was a little surprising. G2 definitely was like, a lot worse than people were expecting.
It feels like when I watch them that Caps and BB are playing worse, but it feels like they're playing worse because they feel like they have to do so much because Lebrav and Skumon just don't do anything. Like their jungle support just are never doing anything. So they're just trying to like get unreasonable leads. They're just trying to squeeze blood from a stone, like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to squeeze so hard and it's just not, there's nothing there, bro. There's nothing there to squeeze.
Welcome back to the Cloud9 Key of Forecast MSI edition. You guys have been asking for this in the comments, and IWDominate will be joining us every week throughout MSI. Do you want to introduce yourself for everybody?
Yeah, I'm Dom. I was a pro player a long time ago with Meteos. Competed against Meteos for a couple years, I guess a few years, like 10 years ago at this point. Then I was a streamer. I was a gameplay streamer. Started creating content around pro play, became a full-time like pro play content creator now. And now I work with Cloud9 as one of the coaches.
Sweet. I mean, it's awesome to have you here. We've tried to make this happen earlier, but it's hard because your sleep schedule's all over the place. You need to watch games on the other side of the world and whatnot. But it's great to have you. And as a reminder to everybody, Portuguese, Brazilian subtitles are available. So, we've interacted a couple times over the years, but we're not super close. So we're going to do some fun, cringy icebreaker games.
Okay.
To start us off.
I'm ready.
All right, first one, we've got, what's the best meal you've ever had?
Best meal I've ever had. I mean, I can't think about like best I've ever had, but recently I went to a really good Texas barbecue place called Interstellar. And it was like one of the few ones. It's not super expensive or anything, but it has a Michelin star. And that was absolutely amazing. Like it was actually the best barbecue I've ever had.
Really?
They had pork belly. They had peach tea pork belly, which is like one of their specialties. And it was insane. So that was the best recent meal I've had. What about yourself?
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to come up with one on the spot, but I think usually there's a steakhouse that we've gone to for a lot of Cloud9, like, victory meals called Boa Steakhouse. And they have this like $200.
Brazilian, right?
Yeah. Or is it? I'm not sure. It's some kind of steakhouse.
Barbecue?
That might be Fogo de Chao. This is the Brazilian one. But this one, it's a steakhouse, and they have this like $200 Wagyu sampler where it has like 3 different like 2-ounce cuts of Wagyu beef, like all different kinds, and it's just so insanely good. Like I didn't even know steak could be that good. So that's probably the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I've never actually had Wagyu steak. I've heard about it. I mean, I think I've had like fake Wagyu steak that's like $8, and it's like, okay, that's not the real thing, right? Because everyone that talks about Wagyu, it's like, oh, it's like fucking marbled completely, $200, and you get one speck of it. Like that's how I always hear it being talked about. So yeah, I don't think I've had real Wagyu.
I mean, you should try it sometime. It's insane if you're a steak guy.
Yep, I am.
All right, we've got one more icebreaker question. This one is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Cutie told me to become a streamer in season 5, and that was some good advice. Like he was like, hey, streaming is pretty nice. Like I had some friends, I had some former teammates that went into streaming. And yeah, that was like a really good time to, I think, get into the whole streaming thing. So yeah, I'd say that's like a pretty good piece of advice. I mean, also I've gotten like advice like from my parents, like when I was thinking about becoming a pro player. I actually got the opposite of what most people have, where their parents like hate the idea of it. But I actually got the opposite advice, which was that you can always go back to college. So you might as well pursue something that you're super passionate about, because even if you don't end up like making that your entire career, or that it doesn't become super lucrative, the growth experience of going for something and striving for something and like being able to not have those regrets in life will just do more for you than starting college a couple years early. Like you'll be fine anyway. So for me, it was more like finishing college, because I was like a senior when I dropped out. But yeah, it's like progressing through school. You're going to have that opportunity anyway. So yeah, especially if you can find something where like at the time I wasn't making crazy money, it was early esports. It's like, oh, nice. I got like $45K
$300 a month.
Yeah, it was like $800 a month with Dignitas. You know, we were big time back in season 2, so we had the
Holy.
super contracts. Yeah, the super maxes. But yeah, just like having the opportunity to just like try something like that, I think that was pretty good advice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think for me, mine also comes from my dad. But this was like before esports, because it's funny. He actually gave me similar advice when it came to LCS. Because when I was talking to him about it, he was like, well, you know, I don't know if it'll work out or not, but this is definitely the kind of thing that you should do in your early 20s versus like in your 30s when you're trying to have a family or whatnot. So definitely in line with that. But I think the advice that's always stuck with me comes back from like high school when I was in marching band, and I wanted to drop out because I didn't like it.
Oh, the Trombonist Brothers?
Like, not,
or what were they called?
That was part of it. That was part of it.
Okay.
But it was like I wanted to drop out of marching band because I just didn't like it. And then my dad was like, all right, well, what are you going to do instead? And I was like, I don't know, nothing. And he's like, well, I'm not going to let you do that. Because he said the advice he gave me was like, make sure you're always moving towards something rather than just away from something. You know, it's like if my life path is just like, I don't want to do marching band, that's not really going in any direction. And so I feel like that's helped me a lot with like, you know, some days playing League feels really painful, or like some pro days would be really stressful. And you have those thoughts in the back of your mind. It's like, I just want to quit, like do anything else. But then, you know, that would just be moving away from something. But if it's like there's nothing I actually want to work toward, then like I should just stick out what I'm doing and like, you know, just work through the hard days and keep going.
Yeah.
So that was always nice.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Yeah. So MSI, you watch all the games?
Yep. I watched all the games, unfortunately.
What do you think? I guess we can start with the first one, Furia versus G2.
Furia versus G2. I mean, I feel like every time you watch Brazil at one of these internationals, it always goes the same way. Like in my chat, we always call it the Brazilian tragedy. We're just like, the Brazilian tragedy is coming. And the way it always starts is they look really promising and everything is looking like it's going to be great. And then over time, it just becomes like worse and worse. And then the final loss is always like the most tragic loss of them all. It's like, how the fuck did we ever get here? So
yeah,
watching Furia play, it was tough. And it's also like especially bad because on the G2 side, you feel like G2 doesn't deserve to be winning. It's like, damn, like even though Furia lost, I felt like Furia deserved to win. Like if you look at both those teams, you look at like how well they can both possibly play. It felt like for Furia's level, they were competing better than G2 was, but they still lost because they're worse at League, which makes a lot of sense when you are in a region like LTA South. It's super hard for you to actually get that level because you just don't have the opportunities to compete and scrim like the teams in Europe and North America do.
Yeah, definitely. I was kind of pleasantly surprised by Furia, I think, because, you know, obviously us LCS fans are like kind of upset, some people, that Furia is going instead of Cloud9 because, you know, we're sending one North team, one South team. And I think in most tournaments they would be considered a wild card team, but I was impressed that they actually put up a pretty good fight. Like all their players, I think, you know, showed up pretty well. Guigo was doing really well against Broken Blade that first day. There was like the Warwick meme after game one. Yeah. But I actually think Furia's biggest problem when I watched was their drafts. I think that, you know, it's obviously not all in ThinkHard. He is their coach, but like I think some of their drafts just actually made no sense whatsoever. Their game 5 draft, especially.
Yeah, the
I feel
Lilia
like
one.
They just picked Lilia in a spot where it doesn't make any sense. I feel like Lilia, I'm not even a huge fan of the champion, but I think you have to pick her into like, you know, a bunch of meatballs when the other team's rolling like 3 tank comps or something like that.
Yeah, and like no CC and stuff.
Yeah, but they just kind of like picked her randomly and she didn't even get ahead and it was just completely useless. Plus, I don't know how you feel about Jace, but to me, Jace just is like the free loss champion right now.
Yeah, Jace is like, unless you're a top team in the world, don't lock the champion in, pretty much. That's how I feel. Like, unless your top laner is like mega Chinese or Korean, you don't lock this champion in. Like, it's just not good enough. And then also it alters the way you have to play the game. Then you run into like so many problems playing a Jace comp out. It's like in the mid game, you're like, how do we actually get the Jace to farm a side lane without dying? And then at the same time, it's like, if you're playing on the Jace's side, normally like your Jace or your top laner, you just kind of like let them, you know, take the shit waves or whatever, and you'll be playing on the side of your mid laner. But then when you're trying to like orient a game where like both sides are being played to, it's really hard. I mean, it's not impossible, but it takes so much coordination. And I think if you're just not a top tier team, if you play Jace, you're probably going to lose. But I think on your point about like the game 5 draft, I feel like a lot of times when you play a game 5, it's kind of like what's left or like what do you want to play? And people get really like locked into, oh, this is a champion that we're just good at, so we should just play it in game 5. But they don't have good conditions for the champion, and then they just end up in a situation where they're just like picking something that ends up being useless because, you know, in scrims normally they're picking that in an earlier game and they're able to find success on it.
Yeah. Have you done a lot of like game 5 drafts or whatnot? Like, how's that been in your opinion? Because I haven't done a ton of fearless drafting. You know, I did like the couple days I worked with near airport in the beginning. Yep. But I feel like it's super hard. It's like really easy to get dizzy and just end up with some completely terrible comp.
Yeah, I mean, like, because I'm not going to be on stage with the team, like, I don't do a lot of like the drafting. You know, I'll give my input on drafting, like, you know, before the games and like in the meeting, or when I talk to Nick, like, you know, we'll talk, you know, alone in the channel during the scrims, and I'll give my like opinions on stuff there. But I think a lot of times game 5 drafting is, I think the main thing that at least I've learned about it is a lot of times it's going to be confidence based. Like when it comes to a lot of times in these types of series, there are champions that both teams are not really good at that are going to be left through the draft because like both teams are like, yeah, we don't really want to like play that. But those champions are going to be like super fucking OP in game 5. In game 5, it's like, holy shit. Like if we're getting if we're able to draft Kalista Renata in a game 5, or we're able to draft, you know, in this situation, it was like Annie in game 5, or these champions that are normally like way higher prio. Even if you're not a team that's super like dedicated to playing those champs, like having the balls to actually pick them, I think does a lot for teams. And normally in fearless draft, I do think that the teams that are willing to take more risks in game 4 and game 5 seem to have the edge. Like I think about China, Korea, like AL when they won LPL this split, going for like the Zed game 4 where it was like a really good angle, but it's not something that they had played a lot of. Thought that took a lot of like courage to be able to do that. Like Genji's series versus Hanwha Life. I mean, they didn't actually have a final because of the format, but that's essentially the final of LCK. The way that they were able to realize throughout the series what Canyon needed to do to win, where it's like, we're just 2 AFK on the map. We just need you to like start making shit happen so that we can actually play the game. And the fact that he was willing to like do that in these games, I think was a huge reason why they're able to win. So I think a lot of times game 5 drafts, if you're playing at like a high level, it comes down to which team has more like courage to actually play what's still good.
Yeah, especially I feel like fearless is so interesting because you're not always going to be on comfort picks. Like sometimes you'll have to play a champion that, you know, maybe it's like your 10th or 15th best champion, but you still got to do it because, you know, you don't have a lot of options. So it definitely rewards people who have like a really broad champ pool and whatnot. So yeah, you know, that series went to 5. G2 took it. You know, obviously the 5th game was kind of a blowout, but the next series we had was BLG GAM, which was pretty one-sided as well. What do you think about that one?
I mean, it just felt like GAM played pretty well in the early games. They're actually able to make solid plays, and I feel like a lot of times you see this when a team goes in against one of the mega favorites. I mean, BLG, at least in play-ins, is by far the best team in play-ins, so they can play to like a higher level than you normally see because they're playing with almost like zero expectations. It's kind of like just show them that we're not terrible type of mindset. Like let's just give them like our best. And I thought they were able to play early game pretty well, but once they got into mid game, like BLG was just significantly better than them, and they were able to just consistently find angles. And then by game 3, you know, BLG just understands certain things about the game that it felt like GAM didn't understand. So when they were able to fully push
that level 1,
yeah,
game 3 was so disgusting. I've not seen someone lose like that in a while. That was so rough.
It's also like pretty interesting to me because that used to be like a core way that BLG loved to play the game, and that was mainly in 2024 spring when they were able to play like Ashe support was a huge thing, and they would essentially just always draft some type of mega abusive bot lane combo as either Kalista Renata or as Ashe support. Or like that was back when people were even playing fucking like Varus and Kalista support and like all these like 80 carry supports. They're willing to just pick these like random champions, these like abusive champions, and they would just play to split the map. They would just stack 3 waves, have their jungler come because they would automatically be winning bot based on the champions they would pick, and they would force the enemy jungler out and then just dive bot, and they would do this so consistently. But that really hasn't been something that they've done recently. But I guess they just knew with the things that were drafted, it's like, yeah, I mean, we have champions like Karma, we just push you out completely. Enemy jungler can't fight. They just snowballed the entire game off of it.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I don't know your opinion on it, but like, I hate level 1s in League so much. Like, especially as a jungler, level 1 invades are so cringe. Like that game 3, it's hard to even blame their bot lane for what happened, or Levi. It was like they just got chunked level 1, pushed out of their jungle, and the game was just unplayable entirely. It's like, I don't know. That was tough to watch for sure. Yeah. But, you know, obviously BLG is good. And in a way, it's, you know, I feel a little bad for these teams in play-ins because, you know, BLG was in MSI finals, world finals last year. This is an insanely good team, and they're in play-ins. So
I think it's dumb to put Chinese and Korean teams in play-ins. Just like, period. Like, these teams have proven, like, these regions have proven they are so much better than everyone else that it's like, just let them play in the main event. Like, there's no reason I need to watch 6 games of BLG just like completely shitting on teams that I want to get hyped for. I feel like it does the opposite of getting me hyped for the tournament. It's like, damn, it looks like China's a lot better than Europe. Again, wow, big surprise. And then you just like go into the tournament, and also it feels like because of like the way the matchups work, there's, even though you get a lot of best of 5s, there's just going to be a lot of like tough best of 5s to watch. I mean, G2 versus Furia, the fact that the G2 versus Furia and G2 versus Gam were close, that actually saves us from some of the brutality that you would normally get in a tournament like this. But, you know, when you look at all the first round matches, they're all mega favorites in each one. So you do get a lot of best of 5s, but you're going to get normally in this type of format like 7 best of 5s that you expect to be pretty one-sided at a minimum. But back to what you said about level 1s, I don't mind level 1s in competitive play, but I hate level 1s in solo queue. Like, solo queue level 1s, it is the most brutal thing ever because half the time it's just decided about like by who's AFK in the game. Like, who actually decided to play the game level 1? It's like, oh, you decided to not play the game level 1? Well, I guess I could just like go fuck myself then as a jungler. Like, I'll just, you know, be down, you know, 2 levels early. It's okay. There's catch up experience in the game. I'll actually end up being okay at some point, but yeah, I mean, it normally just feels very unskilled where you're like, oh, I'm just behind because of nothing I could control.
Yeah, dude, especially like, you know, I'm a big Rek'Sai fan, and Rek'Sai is just completely useless level 1. And then, you know, you drafted against Graves and he just walks in my jungle and just starts shooting me. And it's like, well, I feel like I can do something here. I don't know. It's definitely not my favorite thing.
Are you still playing Rek'Sai?
I haven't played it recently. No, I'm more like Xin Zhao these days. Xin Zhao Fiddle.
Yeah. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to be a huge Rek'Sai player, but I feel like this champion is just like, it's just pathetic these days. That's how I feel about Rek'Sai. I just feel like it's just not a good champ. Like, it just feels, I mean, the level 1 problem. And then also you don't like farm particularly fast. And like the one thing you have is like creative, like angles. Like, you can take creative angles and you can gank. But yeah, I just feel like it feels very like limiting to play Rek'Sai. I don't know. I just feel like I'm like stuck when I'm playing Rek'Sai half the time.
Yeah, I mean, she's not good right now. It's just, it is what it is. Ever since she lost the true damage E, it's just like hard to kill people.
Yep,
kind of sad. Need some buffs, please, Freak.
It won't get buffs. It's like 53% win rate, so it's like not getting buffs.
Yeah, unlucky. The next game we had was Furia versus Gam, which went to 5 games yesterday. I mean, it was a pretty interesting series. I think. I don't know. That was another one where I just really didn't like a lot of Furia's drafts. To me, it felt like they kind of played better overall as a team. You know, minus top lane, Ki was absolutely farming Guigo. But I don't know, man. Furia's drafts a lot of the time just like they don't make sense to me.
Yeah,
I mean, if you had any thoughts on it.
For me, it's like their game 1 draft was like something I really wouldn't want to play. Personally, I mean, I think that giving Talia and Pantheon, when you're on red side and you're giving blue side first pick Talia, and then you're giving them the best jungler that goes with Talia, and they get a Rumble on top, and then you're just trying to like counter pick everything. Like, you're picking Ahri because it's fine into Talia, like it's like you can play the matchup, and then you're picking Galio because it's a soft answer to Rumble. And then Xin Zhao is like okay into Pantheon, but none of those situations are actually winning for you. So you're just trying to like counterpick everything they have, but nothing is actually good. And even their bot lane was Rel Smolder into Zyra Khan, which is another lane that's like,
dude, Smolder in game
particularly
one
good.
is crazy.
Yeah,
Is this champion even good? It didn't seem very good to me.
I mean, I don't think Smolder's good, but I think there's times where you can play it, right? Like if they early in a game one, if they want to open with like a Senna or something like that, and you're like, okay, like it's Senna and whatever support, and we can just get a free Smolder angle, we can just exist and farm in this lane, and we'll both like stack, and eventually like I'll have a point of power. I'm okay with it. But into Zyra Khan, like when you're playing into Zyra Khan with a Rel, it's like I feel like Rel doesn't want to play with Smolder, and you don't also want to play Smolder into Zyra Khan. And then it's not particularly good into like the top side because there's so much stuff that can kill you. You know, like a lot of times Smolder games, you want it to be relatively inactive. You want to be able to just sit there, walk forward, rapid fire Q them, back off, do the same thing again, and just chunk them out. But this whole game, I mean, you saw throughout that even once he got super strong, I mean, you have Talia ulting him, you have Pantheon ulting him, you have Rumble ulting him off the screen. Rakan is flashing 4 screens like ahead onto his face, and even when he had flash and stuff, it felt impossible for him to play. So I don't know. I really didn't like
no
the pick
life
there.
steal too. Yeah, like no
Yeah.
BT was super weird because he just kept getting chunked out by Rumble ult and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Close series overall though. I think. Who did you expect to win going into that one?
I expected Gam to win pretty hard. That's what I thought was going to happen, but it didn't end up going like that. The game 3, like the way they played out their game 3, Gam, that was the Kazakhs game with like TF where they had 5k gold lead. I thought that was really bad. Also, Aatrox not buying tenacity in this game. I don't know. I feel like it's so crazy. You're playing into Ashe, Seraphine, Poppy, Silas, and then you're playing Aatrox with 0 tenacity. There was multiple fights where he would literally just get CC'd one time, charmed, and he wouldn't even cast one ability. Like he literally would not be able to Q1 before he died. It just felt super weird the way that they played. They didn't play on a side lane one time. They had TF. They were just playing 5v5s perma. It just didn't feel like they were going to execute that comp well.
Yep, that's one of the most tilting things for me, I think, when I see these teams draft stuff that just can't team fight. You know, you have this comp with no frontline, not a lot of CC, squishy, and then you just perma force 5v5s, and whoever walks in first in your team is going to get one shot. Like, Kiaya, he kind of did this all series, basically. Like, it's been something that, like, we were doing the coaching with double lifts, and, like, he was pointing it out. It's like, Kiaya is really good in lane. He almost always gets huge lane leads, but then when it comes to team fights, he just kind of runs in and dies repeatedly. And I think it's tough when, like, you're trying to play something like Aatrox, and then you don't have anyone to go first because, you know, you have to be super patient to actually make that work. So I feel like that's just hard.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just like a point where when you're playing these types of like split push drafts, you're going to have to team fight at some point. Like, but the whole goal is that you get enough of an advantage before you're forced to team fight that you're able to actually win this team fight. But it felt like they just didn't know when they were actually stronger. Like, at what point do you have enough of an item lead from being able to, like, you know, split and play side lanes that you actually can team fight, where you just gold card a target with TF and that person gets one shot. And it felt like the fights that they took weren't coordinated fights, and they took the fights where like Furia was balled up front to back and they were able to just play exactly how they wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, close series overall, but obviously didn't work out. It kind of ended with like the least hype ever. It was like they picked Cassidy and then just kind of got rolled in game 5, followed by like a 30-minute pause into chrono break and to still lose.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you like that Cassidy? It seems so useless to me. He picked Cassidy and he got like 3 kills early. So like if Cassidy's ever going to be useful, surely it would have been then. But he actually did nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought Cassidy was good in that game. It just he played. I mean, they just didn't like. Okay, you have a Cassidy on your team. Your Cassidy is level 15, and you're forcing Otacon. It's like at some
that
point,
was criminal.
You have to ask yourself, what the fuck are we doing at this Otacon? Why are we flipping an Otacon 5v5 when our Cassidy is about to be God mode? Like, he's about to get to the point, and then once he hit level 16, instead of them being like even in the game or like down like 2k gold, I mean, they made multiple int plays, but that one was like, now we're down 8k gold. So our Cassidy doesn't even get to like be Cassidy in a fight. I mean, I think that there's things that are good about Cassidy. I feel like he's good into Orianna, he's good into Bard, GP later on in the game, like once he has items. But into Kai'Sa, it's not the best. Into Neferi, it's whatever. But he never was able to like get angles. We never saw the Cassidy moment because it felt like they just jumped the gun. Like they didn't need to start hitting the Otacon when they did. And yeah, they just did the easiest way to lose a game, which is you just start Otacon 5v5 and then you end up losing it. And then after you lose it, you're so tilted that you lose it that you end up just fighting after anyway and just losing the game. Like that's a tough way to lose.
It was hard for them. That's both games actually where I don't know. I feel like Furia just, I think if they had better drafts, I don't know what it comes down to, like whether it's their champ pools or whatever, but like I think they could have done better. I think they could have beat Gam, but so many of these games, I see their comp and I'm like, I do not see how you win with this whatsoever. You know, just like 0 CC comps, whatever. Like just picking champs, I don't think are strong. You know, like this tournament, like Ezreal has never looked good. Gnar has looked pretty useless. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that those champions, we'll probably see a different story once we see like, you know, Genji, T1, BLG like play more and AL play. True. I think we'll end up having different opinions. We'll be like, oh, Ezreal's actually fucking OP. Like this shit is unkillable, does 1 million damage, like wins lane. Like what the fuck? Like how do you ever beat this champion? You know, like that's kind of how it normally goes. And it's just
that's a good point. It does usually change going from play-ins to the full stage.
I mean, if you're playing Ezreal Karma into like Bard Kai'Sa, like I feel like that should be like the freest fucking lane. You know, Ezreal Karma into Bard Kai'Sa, you should just be able to roll them the entire time. I mean, that's a miserable lane to play on the Kai'Sa side. I also thought the Bard pick like was borderline game losing in this draft. Like you're playing Bard in a mega losing lane versus Ezreal, Kassadin, Gnar. Like Trundle is the only champion, I guess, that the Bard is good in the whole enemy draft. So I don't know. In that game, I thought Furia was going to lose, but I thought that Gam had a worse draft.
Dude, both of them had like 0 CC whatsoever. It was not a good draft. I mean, but I guess that's game 5. Sometimes you just end up with some like mess of a comp.
Yep.
Yeah, but then, you know, BLG and G2 played. That one was pretty one-sided. It seems like BLG was just obviously the best team in this group stage. No surprise to anybody. And then today we just finished our Gam vs G2 match, which I think was a lot closer than at least I would have expected it to be. Do you think G2 got too cocky with their like Nunu on 1-2 game 3? Do you think that was real, or do you think that was like a...
I just think they don't know what to play. What to call that. I mean, I just think they had no idea what they could possibly play into Wukong. Like they're like, okay, Wukong is up. You don't really want to play an AD champion. Maokai is banned. Poppy is out. So they were just like, they probably just didn't have anything else they really wanted to play into Wukong. So, I mean, going forward, they should probably either ban it there or should try, you know, some type of magic damage dealing jungler, tank, anything. But I guess that's what they were trying to go for with the Nunu. They're like, yeah, I mean, it does magic damage. We can go like an AD mid. Like, I guess it's tanky, whatever. It doesn't get abused by Wukong.
I feel like you would need like Nunu would show up in like a game 15 of Fearless or something. Like this champion is just not built for competitive whatsoever. And honestly, he didn't even have that bad of a game, but I just think the champion's limitations, like you just, you know, you don't really do damage, you're not really tanky, and you don't have that solo queue aspect of like just snowball getting a kill every single time and no one watching the objectives and you eat them real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe it's just like the type of pick that you pick in a game where you just have mega prio lanes everywhere and your idea is just, oh, I'm just going to walk to all the objectives and just start them and just, you know, play through getting every single objective on the map the second it spawns. Because, yeah, I mean, the ganks, like Nunu ganks are actually not good. It's just annoying that he can gank you so often.
Yep. I feel like in solo queue it's good too, where most of the time people's vision is like, you know, right outside their lane at best. Whereas in competitive, usually you have some idea of where their jungler is and where he could be. It's like, you know, he's on bottom side, so you're mindful of it versus like, oh, there he is. He's in my ward. Oh, and now he's snowballing me and I'm dead.
Yep.
So definitely not the best pick. But dude, one of the things that stood out to me so much when I was watching GAM this weekend is I feel like their mid was so gapped no matter who they were playing.
Yeah, their mids are terrible.
That was shocking to me because it's one thing, you know, they're a minor region for like, I mean, I guess depending on how you want to call it, but compared to the other regions for sure. But the rest of their players were doing really well. Like Artemis and Kiaya, especially to me, were like, stand out, just actually stomping lane a lot of the time. They were just playing so well. But then both Emo and Ares just looked absolutely gapped. Like they were not even in the same league whatsoever. was like
Yeah.
Challenger versus Diamond player or something.
I mean, honestly, I think they should have started the Eris guy over Emo because I thought Eris looked better than Emo. I mean, most of the games they won were with Eris on their team, but I just didn't like the champions that he was being put on for what I felt like he should be doing for the team. Like, I don't think that this guy is a carry, right? I don't think that he should be playing champions like LeBlanc or like the Game 5 Oriannas. I was not huge on because it doesn't seem like he's going to play Orianna the way that you want an Orianna to play. Like, if you're playing Orianna versus Annie and you're down 10 CS in lane, it's kind of like, it's just like, what the fuck are we
Dude,
picking
his
this champion
TP
for?
back to lane was so reportable. He was
I
like
don't know
playing
what that is.
smart early, dodged the Viego level 3 timing, and then he early bases and just TPs in Annie's face, takes like 60% of his health for nothing. That was so wild.
Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, the fact that he was able to win that LeBlanc game in game number 4 versus Furia, like, that was crazy. I mean, he was down like 4k gold on Azir. He's using his full combo forward and doing like maybe 30% of Azir's life, and Azir's actually trading like 60% of the LeBlanc's life back. And it's like, nice, that's all you can do in this game. I think there was a point where Azir was like 3 items and LeBlanc was sitting on Ludens and a Hextech alternator. Like, that was his fucking build at the point. It was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know how he's going to get into this game. So I just felt like a lot of the picks that he had throughout just didn't feel right. I felt like he should have been playing. He should be the guy that's looking for like the Annie angles in earlier games. You know, he should play.
That's what I was saying.
Galio or something. You know,
That's what I'm saying, dude. If I was them, I'd be like, okay, our mid laner is so turbo gapped. Put him on like Lissandra, Galio, Annie stuff. That's like, it's fine if he's down in lane. You could be like 2 levels down, but at least, you know, force him to build merc treads or be able to start a fight for the rest of our team to like clean up. But was not the case, and it just felt like, I don't know. I'm surprised they even got to game 5s because their mid was just super gapped every single game. It was rough.
The mid just couldn't play on the same team. I think that it was that, and then also what I noticed about Gam is they just like never hit Baron. They're just super scared of hitting Baron. There's so many times where I'm just like, this is the freest fucking Baron. Like the game versus Nunu where they forced Nunu's flash, they kill 2 people, and they have all 5 up. They have, you know, Xayah, like they're so fucking strong in this game. They have Xayah in this game. They have like Wukong. They have Jax that can go over the wall and like, you know, take away the blast cone, whatever. And they're just afraid to hit Baron versus an Mbessa that has no ult, a Tristana, and a Nunu. It's like there's no poke. There's nothing that the enemy team can do to you. They won't hit Baron. The other game was like, do you remember that game 1 versus Furia where they killed 3 people? It's literally 5v2. And they went for this gank mid with all 5 people up and multiple TPs. Everyone's full life. They have a Xayah. They can just easily do the Baron. And instead they go for this like gank mid on Smolder instead of actually taking the Baron. There's so many times where I'm just like, they could hit the Baron to force action. They can hit the Baron to actually, like, if they have an opportunity to do it, they can hit the Baron to force the enemy team to face check. They can hit the Baron and then, like, you know, test to see, oh, does the enemy, like, are they going to check quick enough, whatever. There's multiple different things that they can do by, like, just hitting the Baron, and they just don't hit Baron ever. Like, they want all 5 enemy people to be dead, and then maybe they'll touch Baron.
Yeah, Gam had a really distinct playstyle, I feel like, where, like you were saying, I think it extended past Baron, where their objective control was just so non-existent. Like, I think against BLG, they got 0 dragons. They got dragons sold against every game 4-0, like, immediately. Even when they had some good early games, like, they absolutely had opportunities to take dragon, but I don't know. It feels like they just have some, like, reservations about actually going for objectives. Otacon too, I think it was game 5 just before this where they just gave Otacon for free in a really close game. And I don't know, man, when I see one team having like 30 Otacon flowers to 0, like, that thing is so insane. I think those flowers are mad OP. It's like a level on your whole team, like 15 plus adaptive stats. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's almost like a permanent Baron buff. So
I mean, it's huge. I mean, the only reason they got Otacon in that game 5 versus Furia was because Furia started it in their face. It's like they didn't really do many objectives, and even once they had objectives, it felt like the way that they tried to play the game out, like going back to that game 3, the way they tried to play the game out once they got the Baron versus G2, they actually did nothing. They got like 1 tier 2 and like an 800 gold lead off Baron. And the only reason they were able to like end this game in a relatively quick manner is because Skumon just ran it down bot on purpose and then just like lost the game instantly. Outside of that, it was going to go to like next Baron, next Drake. It was going to be a long fucking game because of the fact that they just don't they don't play actively when they have a lead. They just want to like win by fighting you over and over again and then winning the fights. And if they win the fight, then they'll just do stuff afterwards. But they don't actually plan to like make things happen on the map or force the enemy to be in a bad position. They just fight because they have a good idea of like how fight should go, engages when people are out of position, like, you know, when the enemy's inting, whatever. They're just able to identify those moments and just pull the trigger.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just all they want to do is fight. But I think most people expected BLG and G2 to make it out of the play-ins, but I think the way that it happened was a little surprising. G2 definitely was like, you know, a lot worse than people were expecting. It had like 5 games against both of the teams that were eliminated. So a little concerning for them. I think Broken Blade had a pretty... I haven't been watching a ton of EU, but like to me, it felt uncharacteristically bad performance. He was kind of getting gapped by everybody, making a lot of mistakes. Has he been like that in LEC?
I mean, he's definitely had like bad games here and there, but I don't think that he's been like this bad. Like he hasn't had a series like he had versus Furia where it's just multiple times you're just asking, what is this guy doing? Like, why is he fighting at this time? Or like, does he actually know what's going on in the game? I mean, the people will tunnel on the Warwick game that he played, but I would say the Renekton game that he played was maybe even worse. Like the Renekton game that he played in that series where he was like 1-9, that was tough to watch. But one thing I like about BB is that he was able to actually bring the Renekton back. He played in game 1, played a good Renekton. Like he's somebody who has confidence in himself, even when he ints. Like he's like, okay, I inted, but I'm not a terrible Renekton player. I just played terrible that game. So I'll just play better next time. Draft me Renekton. And he played it in a harder matchup too and was able to perform. So that's something I've always respected about BB. But also the way that I feel about G2 is it feels like when I watch them that Caps and BB are playing worse, but it feels like they're playing worse because they feel like they have to do so much because Lebrav and Skumon just don't do anything. Like their jungle support just are never doing anything. So they're just trying to like get unreasonable leads. They're just trying to just squeeze. I mean, we always say like in the sack is like trying to squeeze blood from a stone, you know, like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to squeeze so hard and it's just not, there's nothing there, bro. There's nothing there to squeeze. And they keep on trying to get these advantages that don't exist. And if you think about like how Mickey X used to play, Mickey X was somebody who would maybe int every now and then. He would have some bad games. He'd get caught randomly, but he was active. You know, he was the support that would run an entire game by having a little bit of tempo and then going top and killing the top laner and just like making things happen in other people's lanes. But it feels like if they don't do that, if Caps and BB don't create big advantages, the game is going to be a mega slow game. And a lot of times these games are just not going to be like won by them versus decent teams. So I do think there's a reason that they're playing worse. I don't think it's like, oh, they're just playing worse because they got worse at the game magically. To me, it has to do more with how the team operates and how stagnant they are.
Yeah, so you feel like BB and Caps have to like pressure themselves to do more than they should because otherwise nothing will happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've definitely seen that a lot. What do you think about the meta so far at MSI? Is it kind of what you expected? Is there any surprises? Anything that's stood out to you?
I was surprised by the like. I'm not sure how good TF is. I think it's definitely buffed. I mean, it's good, but we saw it getting banned like every fucking game. Like it was getting banned 1, 2, 3 every game, and then the couple times we've seen it be let through, it's looked not great, I would say. So I'm interested to see.
Has it won a game yet? I don't think it's won a game.
I think it's 0-2. I think it's
0-3.
Oh, 0-3?
0-3. Yeah.
What was the other game it lost? I remember the game yesterday and the game today. I don't remember the other one.
Caps lost twice with it, and Eris lost once with it.
Oh yeah, he lost the game to BLG. Yeah, I mean he was gonna lose that game no matter what. You know, like he could have locked everything. Yeah. That's a fake loss. It's a fake loss to BLG. But yeah, I just wonder if we'll actually see TF be 1, 2, 3 banned the entire tournament, or if we'll see like it go in phases where it's banned all the time at the beginning, then it starts getting left up. Then when better people play it, it actually is OP. And then we see it getting led through. You know, we see some of the top teams playing it, and then if you know they're able to verify that it is really strong, then it becomes banned again. I wonder if it'll be that, or if it'll be how some champions go, like Echo Jungle did like 3-4 years ago. I remember where people just ban it all at the time at the beginning, and then they start thinking about it, and they're like, oh no, there's answers to this shit. Like it seems right. Like right now, if TF is up and you play Silas into it, you're going to be fine for the most part. You answer a lot of the things that TF does. TF is going to have a gold lead because TF has TF passive, whatever, but you're going to be able to play the game, and you're going to be able to out team fight TF, which I think is, something that is really nice. If you can find champions that are able to neutralize the strength of TF and then also have the advantage in team fights, then I think you're good. So I want to see, like, are people going to play Ryze into TF? Are people going to start playing like Galio more into TF? Are people going to keep on playing Silas into TF? And if that's a thing, is the TF just so OP that he's able to deal with this? Or is it the type of thing where TF just ends up being a situational pick where like 4 or 5, you ban out certain counters?
Yeah, I think TF's been the biggest bait to me. The biggest surprise, I think, to me has been Annie. Like, I was never impressed by Annie. Like, a lot of people were playing her in playoffs, and I don't know. To me, I never see an Annie player look good. Like, every time you watch an Annie play, it just looks like a bot, no matter what. But she's been picked, I think, every series, and she's won every game she was played. She's 5-0 so far, and I was not expecting that. I think that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think Annie's like pretty decent. I just feel like a lot of times when we're seeing any players play, they're just getting away with murder. They're just getting through lanes that are way too hard for them to be able to get through at a decent level. I feel like in a lot of these situations, it should be the opposite, where your Annie is like going to be able to have playmaking potential, but she's going to be coming out of lane down 10 CS, 15 CS, or she's going to have to base at weird times, whatever. So I think that when we see better teams play, I think that Annie will be reserved for like later games, like games 3, 4, 5. Once certain picks are out, I think they'll be playing more Annie.
Yeah, definitely could be. So we got the bracket stage coming up, and are they doing a draw? Do we know the matchups already?
Yeah, we know all the matchups. So the matchups are, let me get, I can probably do it off the top of my head. So the matchups are Gen G versus G2. That's the first matchup. So rest in peace, G2. So G2 is going to get 3-0'd. Like, it's going to be it's going to be a 2-hour series. 2 hours, 20 minutes. That's going to be the total series time. So we have that one. Then we have AL versus FlyQuest, which as an NA fan, I think that's probably the best team for FlyQuest to go against. After that is T1 CFO. And then the final match is MKOI versus BLG.
Damn, these look one-sided, honestly. You think all 3-0s? You think... I could see FlyQuest, winning a game. Maybe, hopefully more, but I don't know, dude. It's not looking good for the underdogs here. Yeah,
I think Gen G's a 3-0. I think Gen G's the highest likelihood of being a 3-0. If I were to put it through to most likely to least likely, I would say Gen G's the highest likelihood of being a 3-0, then T1 versus CFO, then AL versus then MKOI versus BLG, and the last one would be AL versus FlyQuest. Because I think FlyQuest is a team that plays like their own way, where all the other teams are like, when I look at MKOI, I think MKOI can take games off BLG because BLG does not play clean enough to consistently win. But they play a similar style. Like, MKOI is not going to do anything in a game that BLG is going to not know how to respond to. But I think that FlyQuest actually does do things in games that are not normal. And I think AL could be caught off guard by that, and it's easier to lose a game to a team like FlyQuest than a team like MKOI, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that. FlyQuest, I know from talking to the C9 guys, they're always saying like FlyQuest is really good mid game, and it's hard to predict exactly what they're going to do. Like, I think Busio and Inspire do a good job not giving away more info than they have to, and just making it like, unexpected where they're going to show up. So we've got that to look forward to. Probably going to be some stomps, but, upsets are always fun.
Yep.
We've also got a little bit of league news where Fnatic has reached a verbal agreement with Poby, which I did not expect. The only time I've heard of Poby was when he subbed in for Faker, and I don't know. That was one of the biggest mid differentials between players I've ever seen. It's a lot of times it's hard to believe that one player can make such a big difference in a team, but that was T1 with Poby was losing every single game dramatically, and then Faker came back and they just won the split or whatever they did. So
they got 3-0 in finals and then won Worlds. That's what they did.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely insane. What do you think about Poby? Any strong thoughts? Apparently, he's been doing better in Academy this year, and I know a lot of these regions like importing out of the LCK challengers.
Yeah, he's just he's gonna be just a worse version of Loki, I guess. You know, he'll be just he's the like he's like the runt of the litter. You know, like that's how it is. It's like the LCK CL players. Like you had the top tier, which was like it felt like Saint and Loki were the people on everyone's radar. And then there's, you know, a Poby who I've heard from people is not even at the top of like LCK CL right now. So I think that he has characteristics that I think are decent, where people really want to import a young player, somebody who's been in, I mean, these aren't really characteristics, but just things about him, like the fact that he's been in the T1 ecosystem for a while. Like people just feel like that's going to create something, but I haven't watched enough of him to make a strong decision, like, you know, to say, oh, he's bad or he's good. I thought that when he was 17, he subbed in for Faker. He was just in this like pretty much an unwinnable spot. The team was also playing so much worse. As soon as Faker was benched, it felt like the team just completely fell apart. Like people looked like they just didn't care to the same degree. Like the way that Zeus was getting killed was like, bro, like what? I think I saw. Didn't he get solo killed by an Alistar? I think he got solo killed by Lehen's Alistar as Cassante at a point, and I was like, yeah, we need to just remove this from our memories. I mean, it was one of those things where it's so easy to mentally check out when you have a player like Faker gone. It's like, yeah, it's nothing really matters. It's like nothing really counts here. Anyway, so it was actually something that I felt like was almost good for T1 because they weren't playing super well with Faker when he was injured. And then when they had that like moment where they were just still losing, but they could kind of just write it off. When Faker came back, it's like it gave them that second wind. It gave them that honeymoon phase again with like the same lineup, which I thought was really useful for them. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll give Poby a chance. Like I was a huge Humanoid hater. I thought Humanoid was like not good at all. Maybe he's better right now than Poby, but it feels like with Humanoid, there's almost no upside at this point. Like, sure, he might be good enough to get you. Okay, if you peak with Humanoid, maybe you get like the 3rd world seed. That's what you could look for. But if you want to be competitive, you want to win LEC, you need to do something about breaking up this Razork and Humanoid core.
Yeah, makes sense. I think it's also going to come, like, anytime you import a younger player, there's so many unknowns. Like, how's his English going to be? How's he going to deal with the culture change, everything? So, yeah, I mean, wish him the best. But it's always hard to know. Maybe it'll be good, maybe not.
Yep.
Next, we have a look ahead with Cloud9 Kia coming up. I'll be filming the dive right after this, so you know, a lot of content tonight. These MSI time zones are very late. You know, games starting at 5 p.m. But it's kind of nice to not have to wake up too early for it, so that's fun. And then
it's super good for me. It's the opposite.
Yeah,
of
you like it?
Yeah, I mean, my days are normally like I would scrim with C9 until like 7 or 8 p.m. and then I wake up at 3 a.m. to do like LPL, LCK, and I've done this like almost every single day for like 4 or 5 years now. So like being able to like watch games starting at 7 p.m. it feels like an off day. Honestly, it's like, damn, this is a blessing.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's definitely nice. But we'll both be going to MSI final weekend, or we'll do an episode in person right after the finals. So that'll be cool.
Yep.
And as far as Cloud9, the team's scrimming against the team's MSI right now, and they're getting ready for EWC, which will be right after MSI.
Yep.
And I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you for watching this episode and for your questions. Let us know what you think about the bracket stage pick'ems, and please drop a subscribe.